Hello, this is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. So happy to be joined today by my friend Chris Bianchet, who is General Manager and Vice President with Herman Integration Services. Topic of conversation today as we get ready to go to InfoComm is labor and how to make integrators' lives a little bit easier. Chris has come up with some pretty innovative approaches, pretty innovative solutions. We wanted to get into all the details here today. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining me. Always good to see you, and I look forward to seeing you at InfoComm in just hours at this point.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Thank you for having me on today.
It's always a pleasure. Always good to catch up with you. So, as I said, we're going to be talking about the issue of labor. We're going to talk about some of the progress we've tried to make integrators' lives easier. Do you want to just level set by talking a bit about what's happening in the industry, why a solution is needed, and why a solution is needed now in particular?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that we've identified over the years is, AV labor is becoming a scarcer and scarcer commodity here in our industry. I started Herman Integration Services 13 years ago, and we look at today the labor market is almost at a point of the crisis, right? It is hard to find the talent that is needed, and we're committed because again, my last 13 years, that's all I've spent my time with is providing labor to the AV industry. I've got lots of concerns. We can probably talk about them for hours and hours about where things are going with our industry. But, one of the things that we've noticed, when I started, like I said, back in 2012, we'd put out an ad for a technician and we'd get 30 resumes. Today you go to try to find people. And I mean, unless you have a good network of people, referrals, placing ads is not driving anything for us, right? And this has been a topic over and over in our industry is where are we getting the next generation of folks to do AV work, right? Because we're finding a lot of aging out. It was interesting I'm sorry, not over InfoComm, over COVID. We had a lot of folks that just were like, you know what, it's probably time to retire. And it was just sad because we came out of that. And it was very hard to replace that level of expertise and talent, and quite honestly, the passion for AV. That's
Sure.
the thing that I think is what drives all of us in this industry is that we're passionate about audiovisual. And it's just doesn't seem to be resonating with that next generation of people coming up. I'm not saying it's everyone, but it just seems to be happening in that way. So it's important because AV continues to grow. I mean, you guys have put out numerous reports. 76% of integrators are claiming, hey, this is our number one issue that we've got going on, and we're predicting over 5% year over year growth in this industry. How do you keep up with it if they're not bringing that in there? So we're hopefully coming up with ways of making it easier, being able to find the people that are out there, because they are out there. I mean, I always joke because there's 330 million people in this country, right? You'd think we could find a handful of AV techs, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's a challenge. It's a challenge unto itself.
It certainly is, and I appreciate you bringing up the state of the industry report and the data, as you say, 76% of integrators saying sourcing reliable labor was a top concern. When I talked to Tom LeBlanc and the team at NSCA, they are always talking about how they're hearing about recruiting, retention of labor, of team members, that is far and away the biggest issue, more than supply chain issues, more than economic concerns. It's just the labor issue. And it is very, very important, as you say, if we're going to realize that compound annual growth rate we're talking about, about 5.5%, give or take, we need to be able to have the techs and the labor to make that happen. If we don't have the techs and the laborers, we can't grow. We can't grow at all, right?
No, no, absolutely. Now, some things that are working in our favor, we're seeing a lot of, the solutions for a conference room are getting. I don't want to ever say easier because nothing's ever easy in audiovisual. I think we've all learned that, right? But they seem to be less complex than they were, say, in years past. We're seeing a lot of integrators now even going to the prepackaged systems and things of that nature. And with our partnership with Field Nation, we have access to lots of folks who maybe aren't focused on AV but have the skill sets to be able to hang television, put up sound bars, be able to connect to a network. So we're starting to see that there's other avenues of labor that may not be the hardcore guys who are invested in learning all about QSC and Extron and Crestron and AMX and all the other great manufacturers that are out there. because there's this big part of our industry that's kind of moving towards the more prepackaged, standardized room, that we're starting to see a lot more of now. Because let's face it, collaborative meetings are. I don't think they're going away anytime soon.
Oh, no, I certainly don't think so. And I think you're very correct in pointing out the kind of kitification, so to speak, of our industry where everything is kind of prepackaged and kitted. That being said, we still have a very strong need for labor services. And I'm interested in the LaborFlex solution, what it is, what it guarantees integrators, what it helps integrators do. Why is LaborFlex exciting?
Well, LaborFlex is exciting for a lot of reasons. Beyond that, it's just a brainchild of mine. One of the things that we've seen over the years, right? So I've got a sales team that's out there. We've got, customers who reach out to us, and they have, a lot of requests that have gotten simpler. I've got a, break fix situation. I need to do a site survey. I need to decommission a room. I've got a basic, as for lack of a better term, hang and bang that needs to be installed. And they reach out to our sales team, and our sales team responds back with, "Hey, I need more information." And there's these 7 or 8 emails that go back and forth before we can get a quote out the door. And then we've got to figure out, do we have the labor available to actually meet the needs? And it's a very long process. And our customers, and we're not kidding ourselves, are probably doing that with 2 or 3 other of our competitors as well. To me, for a project manager, a project coordinator, somebody who's responsible for labor resources, what a huge waste of time. Just spending your day doing emails for something that's going to, at the end of the day, be a $500 call. It's ridiculous. So because we're partnered with Field Nation now, and they're a software company, right? They're looking at, how do we make everything easier by using technology and software and AI and all of those things. So we started out about a year ago with looking at this challenge. What is this big thing that we can solve for our customers? And time is huge. Let's face it. Margins aren't getting bigger for our customers, for integrators. They're not hiring more and more project managers. They just put more and more work on them, and that is huge. You only have so many hours in the day. And they want to know that when they go somewhere, they're going to get a good quality outcome from the customer, or for the company that they're going to. Herman, we built our name on being very reputable and being able to provide the right services, and that's kind of what we are providing with LaborFlex now, right? We've created an online portal that they can go in, and instead of having 15 emails, they can literally go in, put all their information right up front, get an instant quote back from us, which is a not to exceed number. And then once they get their PO, they can submit it back to us, and it goes in for processing, and we will deploy. We'll match the resources that we have to the needs that are on the scope of work and deploy those individuals, and then they'll get reports at the end of all of this. All of this being on the backbone of the Field Nation platform, which again is a massive software undertaking that Field Nation has built over the last 17 years. They run 1.5 million transactions a year through this platform. So yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling. When we got over and we started working with them, we were like, oh my God, this is actually an incredible solution. How do we do this, and how do we bring it back to our customers? The traditional person who works on the Field Nation platform, it's like any other marketplace solution that's out there, right? You go in and it's very self-service, and you find the people that you want, and you can go that route. We found in the AV industry, people don't have the time to go and create their own work orders, go through a list of folks who respond to that work order, and then vetting them and doing all that. That's what Herman's doing. We're the overlay. We're making it easy for everybody. Put your information into the platform. We like to say, set it and forget it. We're going to make it all happen. And we give, a guarantee that if it doesn't go well, which, we're realists in AV, we're selling people. Once in a while, something might go a little bit awry. We're going to stand behind that work, and we're going to make it right. It's a make it right guarantee. So what we're doing today, we're offering guaranteed folks in 16 different markets. Right now at our initial launch, but eventually we'll have about 40 to 45 markets, major cities, MLB, NFL kind of cities, that we're going to guarantee labor support in all of these particular markets.
What it sounds like, Chris, is it basically just removes the friction, and it's going to help integrators teams say yes to doing more work. So it's going to give them the resources to be able to do that. And as you say, I mean, basically project managers can enter the details, and LaborFlex kind of handles the rest, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I love that you said the yes to more business. That was our very first tagline when we started Herman. It was always how do we enable integrators to do more business, how to be able to get more projects done so they can get more invoicing out and grow their business. So we're hoping this is the next evolution of, reimagining how subcontracting is done and bring automations to it. And we're not done. I mean, we've just launched this. Like this is, version 1.0. I mean, we've got lots of things planned for the future to continue to enhance this, to make sure that we're bringing like the most successful outcomes that we possibly can. And we now have literally several thousand resources on the platform that meet a high standard criteria that we put in place to be able to do this work.
Really exciting stuff. And I know, as you said, you're starting with some of the biggest areas where you're going to see major football teams and things like that, New York, LA, Dallas, Chicago. But it sounds like you have a pretty ambitious build out plan to touch a lot of different markets over the course of the months and years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, the build out's been working for the past year. So, we're there now. We're confident. We're ready for people to start using it. We did a quick pilot. We ran about 50 jobs through it. Worked very, very well. Customers are now using it as a regular part of their everyday, and we're getting some great feedback on it. So we're excited to be able to at Infocom, meet up with us. We're going to be walking around with our black concert T-shirts on, talking about AV techs on tap, and being able to actually demo it for you off of our phones and show you how this solution actually will work for you.
I look forward to checking it out myself. It sounds like really, really exciting stuff. And it's all backed by, the fantastic name that Herman has had for years. I mean, that's a name that carries a level of assurance and quality and reliability. They know you, they know your team, they know what you stand for. So, and now you have, this wider platform, this new offering that's going to really enable them to, as you say yes to more work.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Chris, for joining me. I really do appreciate you giving us some insights into LaborFlex and all the great stuff you're doing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time today.
It's always a pleasure to catch up with my friend Chris Bianchet, who is General Manager and Vice President with Herman Integration Services. My name is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. Please do keep your eyes on commercialintegrator.com as we head into Infocom 2025 and, of course, after the show for more exciting thought leadership and industry-changing content just like this. We'll see you again real soon.